Can the New Orleans Saints take the Carr length jump and win the NFC South? Find out in the 2023 New Orleans Saints season outlook.
ATL Jacob.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Chase Yance, and tonight we're going to go over to the Big Easy, down in New Orleans, where we're talking about the Saints. The Saints last season, they had a rough one. They were 4-9, 13 games through. They won 3 of their last 4 games before losing the season finale to the Carolina Panthers, who it just was an odd season for them. A lot of change, a lot of shuffle. Jameis Winston was their starting quarterback initially. He played in the first game of the season, first couple games of the season, and then you didn't see him at all, basically. Andy Dalton was their main starter the whole way through. It was just a lot of weird things going on throughout that season. Alvin Kamara had some legal issues that he was dealing with from the season before. Them receiver problems. Michael Thomas was hurt. They got Chris Olave in. Jarvis Landry signed. They had a lot of dysfunction on offense. Defensively, they were good, but just a whole lot of dysfunction at very high-end places that they could not afford to have. But the New Orleans Saints did make some offseason adds that could really give them a chance to make a push for the playoffs and win their division this season. David Onyemata and Caden Ellis go to the Falcons, as Marcus Davenport goes to the Vikings, Andy Dalton goes to the Panthers, and Justin Evans goes to the Eagles, with a couple more departures as well. But the additions that the Saints made this offseason were pretty well intact. Nathan Shepard from the Jets comes over at nose tackle, and then Kalen Saunders at defensive tackle from the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl champions gives them a nice boost up front for their defense, along with Cam Jordan, who has been a mainstay in New Orleans for a while. On offense, they made 2 big splashes at quarterback and running back. Running back Jammal Williams had over 260 carries, over 1,000 yards, and led the NFL in rushing touchdowns with 17. And then they add their new general, Derek Carr, over from the Raiders, played 9 seasons there, had 3,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 86.3 passer rating, looking to improve on a lot of those with a newer and better receiving core. Well, better might be a stretch. He did have Devontae Adams on his team, but a younger receiving core. Sticking on the topic of Carr, it's only as good as its engine. Alvin Kamara, Jammal Williams, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, if he stays healthy, Rashid Shaheed, Jawan Johnson. This is a nice core that Derek Carr has to throw with. It's a younger team. They got a lot of explosives, pop at running back. Chris Olave had 1,000 yards last year with a lot of dysfunction at quarterback. No slight to Andy Dalton, but he had a lot of stuff going on there. Michael Thomas has been off and on, really a whole lot of off more than on the field. And when he's on it, he scores touchdowns. Last year, week 1, he had a 2-touchdown game and kind of saved the day against the Falcons. So when Michael Thomas is out there, he's going to make Derek Carr that much better of a quarterback. And then the 2 running backs. Alvin Kamara had a down year. He had a lot of legal issues that he was dealing with off the field. Hopefully he can get himself back in rhythm, back in shape with it. And then Jammal Williams, coming off a fantastic season last year where it didn't really feel like he had any type of dips, just a straight incline, is hopefully running off the hot engines that he was going off of at the end of last season. So the Saints are going to try to ground and pound the football. They can air it out if they need to. So you're going to see one of the more dynamic offenses in the National Football League if everything is able to be accustomed and go well with each other. The New Orleans Saints are going to be an offense to be reckoned with. Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson lead a nice edge on the New Orleans Saints defense. Cam Jordan's been there for quite a while, and he has the love and respect from all of the fans there. And he had 8.5 sacks last year, 2 forced fumbles, but he's looking to have a very big season incoming. Their linebacking core, Pete Werner, Zach Bond, Demario Davis, it's stout. And I think it's time to give Demario Davis his flowers. I've been keeping an eye on him for quite a while, ever since he's been back in his New York Jets days. He's the quarterback of the defense. He has a nose for the football, 109 tackles, 6.5 sacks, an interception, all at the middle linebacker position. You're telling me he can go side to side, he can go uphill, downhill, whatever you want. Demario Davis is one of the best middle linebackers in the National Football League that does not get talked about enough. It is time to give this man his flowers. He is the heart and soul. He gives the Saints a type of energy on the sidelines. He really breathes in that Saints kind of swagger, I would even say. I think what he's doing on the field for this defense, it really gives them another gear to reach and become an even better defense than what they were this past season. I cannot wait to see Demario Davis play football in 2023. And we cannot forget the secondary that they have. Bradley Roby, Marshawn Lattimore, Tyrann Matthieu, Marcus May. It's a good group, really is. Marshawn Lattimore's coming off of injury and a little bit of a rougher season, but when he's healthy, he can lock down any and every receiver, put him on an island. You know the rest. Bradley Roby's bounced around a bit in his career, but the man from Ohio State, as the two corners on the outside are from Ohio State, they can do damage when needed. The back end, Marcus May comes from the Jets a couple years ago, but he holds it down at the free safety position, and he's done himself a very good job in his earlier part of his career. And then Tyrann Matthieu, the Honey Badger. Again, he's bounced around Arizona, Houston, Kansas City, but he's the engine of that defense as well. The back end. Honey Badger is a fantastic player, fantastic leader. He's a very, very skilled, smart, strategic type of safety that you don't really get that a whole lot anymore with some of these guys. But he really gives me that old school feel that the safety position should have in the National Football League. The Saints play 3 night games, 1 on Monday Night Football, 2 on Thursday night. Let's take a look at the Monday Night Football game. Week 2, September 18th, at Carolina, Bryce Young's home opener, the number 1 overall pick. Derek Carr goes on the road to take on his foe. This is going to be a great battle on national television. This is basically the 2 favorites in this division are going to square off earlier in the season, and the entire country is going to be watching. If the Saints want to send a message that they know that they are the favorite, it's going to have to start with an impressive beatdown over these young cats over in Charlotte. We'll see what happens with that. But as their first game of the season, cannot overlook that as they play Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans in Nashville, starting off their year with 2 road games. They play them week 1, September 10th, CBS, 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff. They're going to have their hands full when it comes to the run game with Derrick Henry and then the play action of Ryan Tannehill and the Titans defense that is always stout and the great coaching of Mike Vrabel. But this game will be a chess match, and I cannot wait to see who will have their players in better spots and who will use their pieces more on the board to their advantage, and see who gets a lower scoring week 1 victory. Now, again, my prediction for the Saints, I don't have a definitive record prediction, but they're the favorite in this division. You look at the Bucs, they fell off a bit when it came to losing the greatest player of all time and a couple other pieces. The Falcons were last place and did some stuff. Check out the last video. The Panthers are young, drafted number 1 overall pick, but then the Saints got a quarterback who's been to the playoffs before, and they signed some very, very attractive pieces. I see the Saints winning around 9 to 10 games this year and winning the NFC South